For many of us, designing and building our own dream house is exactly that. It's a dream. But Bob Vila found a school that helps turn that dream into reality. And he's here to tell us about it. Hey, Bob.
Yes, Matt. It's called Yestermorrow. It's a design-build school which teaches a layman's approach to designing and building. And while it gives its students the confidence to build a home or restore an old structure, it also incorporates ecologically friendly aspects of home building. We went to see what they're up to. We're in Vermont's Mad River Valley, visiting the Yestermorrow Design Build School with its executive director, Gunnar Hubbard, who's going to tell us a little bit about what you do here, right?
Yes, well, it's a school founded in 1980 that kind of makes dreams become reality. We teach people about design and construction on the residential scale, mostly.
People off the street, people with no real architectural training, right?
No experience at all. It's intensive courses.
And then they're not building things like this exciting little structure here, though.
No, this is from our professional curriculum, which this is the result of a month-long course where students came from all over the program, architecture students
right. As well, okay. And you're taking the pencils out of their hands and giving them a hammer.
Exactly. It's kind of how do you combine the two, design, build, connect the mind with the hand, if you will.
Exactly. Yeah. Can we go see what's happening in the classroom?
Definitely. Let's go up to the studio. So this is the studio space for our class. We've got a one-week home design class going on here with 6 students where they'll range up to about 15 in some of our longer classes. Tom, if you can take a second of your time. Tom's from Pittsburgh.
Hi.
All right.
Good morning.
Now, what brought you here?
Well, I'm actually a builder in Pittsburgh. I work for a contractor. And what I'm trying to do here is design a house for my wife and my daughter and I, and actually keep it under 900 square feet.
You're getting back to the small cabin then.
Exactly.
Well, it looks like an interesting plan. You'll have an open sun space in the middle there. Huh?
Right, open sun space. The whole plan will be very open, take advantage of the views out the back, get the sun from the front.
Good luck to you.
Thanks very much.
Right. Here's some students now working on the model. Kathy, actually, was a student.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Hi.
And she's actually now works with us as an instructor and has a house locally that I think maybe we should go look at if that's...
Sure.
We'd love to take a look at it.
Yeah.
And you?
Jenny.
How are you? Where are you from?
Upstate New York.
And you're designing your dream house as well?
Yes, my husband is retiring this year. And we've lived in 6 different homes that somebody else has built. So.
And now, by golly, you're going to design and build your own.
Right.
That's
this
great.
This is our time.
I love your spirit.
Great.
Well, we're also concerned here with the ecology, aren't we?
It is very much inherent in our curriculum, and we've got programs that specialize in it, but I think the best part is probably the hands-on stuff that we're doing. We're actually doing it instead of talking about it, like at our campus.
Let's take a look.
Let's go down. That'd be great. Bob, let me introduce you to John Connell, the founder of the Yestermorrow School.
Hey, John. Let me interrupt your roofing here.
Hey, Rob, welcome to the headquarters of the Yestermorrow School, where we practice what we preach.
Now, you're not really moved in here yet.
No, this is the future headquarters, and this derelict old inn here is typical of the sort of thing we do here, which is to recycle old buildings, use what's good about them, and use only the best of future technologies and materials and methods. This roof here is typical of where we start.
What is this roofing product?
This is Mirror Seal, and it's very non-toxic. It's so non-toxic you can actually eat it, but we didn't choose it for that purpose.
We don't want to eat it.
No, but
what's so good about it?
Well, many roofings, even though they keep the water out, will actually impart toxins to the water table.
They leach.
They leach into the water table. The Mad River's right over there, so we felt we had to have something which was completely inert, completely safe.
What other materials like that are you using?
Oh, we've got a variety. We've got tiles downstairs that are made from recycled, broken automobile windshields.
Really?
We have insulation that's made from recycled newspapers, some right over there.
Any plastic studs?
We have 2 kinds of plastic, studs and trim wood, that's used from recycled milk bottles. And
fascinating, yeah.
Instead of being in a landfill, they're being reused here.
That's neat. Congratulations, John. Do you have any new construction we could look at?
Well, I've got a project I think would be great for you to end up with. Kathy Meyer's house. Let's go up there.
Great, thanks. Kathy, you designed and built this house, huh?
I did. I was a general contractor, and I was also on the crew.
Did you do any of the handwork? You were on the crew?
Yep.
Well, it's a very special house. Have you finished it?
Nope. I started in '83, and I'm still working on it.
Little details like the back porch, perhaps?
Yep.
But you've done some very unusual things, like the placement of the windows and the use of the glass block over there.
This was the first house that I had designed, and I was just real interested in trying to use as many different types of windows as possible.
Well, I tell you, I think you did a great job, and I really love your choice of trim color, red and green.
Thank you.
Very Vermont. Good luck in it. Listen, Gunnar, thanks for the tour. It's a very exciting place, and we've really learned a lot here.
Come back anytime.
Bob, the rebuilding of the old structures like that inn, it's a great idea, but it can also take a little time.
Oh, that's going to take them at least 3 or 4 years. They're an energetic group, but the old motel was a ruin, and eventually it'll be their complete headquarters.
Nice story. Thanks for sharing it with us. We're going to take a break. This is Today on NBC.
I had been wanting to build houses for a long time, and I was actually looking for something on the West Coast but couldn't find anything. And in searching around under some, who knows what category, building materials or buildings, Yestermorrow popped up, and I gave them a call immediately.
We were debating building a new house and finding some new property, and went on the internet and looked up timber framing, because that's what we had first decided that we would do, and there it was.
There are people here who are building suburban homes to places on 700-acre parcels of property, so there's a real variety, and it's great to be able to get that feedback back and forth.
The mission of Yestermorrow is to teach students of all ages, and our focus is ranging from those just out of high school or in high school all the way up to those retiring and building their final home. But it's to teach them about placemaking that is respectful of the land and is responsive to the site and to the climate and to themselves. And so I think when we start talking about design and the environment is how do we capture that sort of feeling, that sort of beauty, that sort of sense of smell, that sort of long-term durability, a whole range of things that is personal to the designer, but respective of the environment and the community and our natural resources.
We're a design build school. I think I said that too. The point of design build is to bring this human energy and materialize it.
How they measure up in all these different categories. I think there's a growing awareness that buildings really have a huge impact on the environment in so many ways. People talk about architects and builders as the super consumers because they make buying decisions, consuming decisions for all the rest of us. There's a sense that in really doing good buildings, we can leave something to future generations of humans and other species in terms of how they're situated, where they're located, the places we don't build, as well as the places we do, and the relationship between them.
The notion of sustainable design is that what we design and build today will be a benefit and not a hindrance to people in the future. One of the major missions of the school is to create that integration of design and construction.
Yestermorrow, the name, emphasizes that. I always tell people this when they ask where the name came from, in that it refers to yesterday's attitudes about building. The school also taught tomorrow's technologies, and that had to do with, when the school started, it had primarily to do with solar and energy conserving technologies.
I've talked to a lot of people who are very stunned to hear that architects do not do design build, and are very taken aback when they realize glue is the greatest extent architects have put anything ever together with. I think having touched tools and touched materials, it gives you a different, you regard them differently. And there's a language that can happen, there's a respect that can happen, and it builds bridges between the builders and the architects.
We did not anticipate what a powerful effect students would have on Yestermorrow vision.
I think Yestermorrow fits into this whole picture by providing courses that are getting people thinking and are trying to show examples of respecting everything from the home to really broadening to some of our courses that start emphasizing the idea of community and respect, again, back to that, respect for the land and our built environment.
As a society, we've become very far removed from the land. We literally have children who think that, bread comes from a plastic bag and milk comes from a cardboard box in the grocery store. I believe that, well, I'm an optimist, and I think that if you are an education institution, you believe in the future. I don't think there's any, stronger connection to the future than through education.
We decided to do this class with Shelburne Farms more as a collaborative effort. We started talking more to the folks here about their ethics and their interest in expanding their educational programs.
Even though our missions are different, they're very complementary. And we think of all of Shelburne Farms, both the fields and the forests, as really the classroom where we help make people, or we help by providing opportunities to make connections to the land. And so with Yestermorrow's goal of providing a design-build workshop, it was a perfect marriage.
What Yestermorrow really is people.
Dream home is an exciting process, but if you're not well versed in the nuts and bolts, it could be intimidating. The Yestermorrow Design Build School is working to change that. Hi, I'm Scott Morgan. Welcome to DreamBuilders. Yestermorrow is a summer school for homeowners who want to better understand the building process. Today we'll drop in, see how it works. Later, Steve Greenberg explains what it means these days to build a high-end home, and Cynthia Stone introduces us to a man in Virginia who turns trash into treasures for kids. But we start here in Vermont, where everyday folks are conquering construction. Many folks travel to Vermont's scenic Mad River Valley on vacation. But Jeff and Barbara Ball came from South Carolina to spend their time off working.
Our roof pitch at 8 and 12, and we can lay our rafter square on the board.
Although it may seem like they're toiling on a construction project, they're actually working on a dream.
We eventually want to build our own home, and this is a first start.
Starts are what the Yestermorrow Design Build School is all about. Some folks come here to start designing their dream house. Some just to start learning a new skill.
Oh, nice job.
Yestermorrow was founded in 1980 by an architect hoping to unite designers, builders, and homeowners. This is done by offering a variety of classes taught by real-world architects and builders who take time off from their practices to share their expertise. The idea is that by educating homeowners to understand, influence, and appreciate their homes, everyone will benefit.
The problem, as I see it, is that housing has become a commodity. It's a product. People go out and they look at a home and they look at a community and they say, yeah, I could live here, as opposed to thinking, how do I shape my environment? How does this environment reflect the way I live?
Peter Walcott is the executive director of Yestermorrow. He says that the classes are not designed to train owners to replace their architects or builders, but rather to empower them to knowledgeably participate in the process.
There's definitely a how-to component about how a house goes together, a hands-on component, but a lot of it is thinking about the built environment as something that we have control over.
Jeff and Barbara, like many students here, started out full of ideas, but lacked the knowledge to define and execute them. The Design Build class is an intense 2 weeks of learning. Students spend their mornings in lectures and in the studio working on their individual projects with instructors. Then they're off to tour local building projects, like this one built by previous students. After lunch, they work on a local project to learn the nuts and bolts of building. After a dinner break, it's back to the studio to rethink and rework their own projects, a process that often takes them late into the night.
Sometimes we complain and say, can't we just go out and, have a drink and forget about all of this and take a break? But then I think we wouldn't get as much out of it if we weren't pushed as hard. So from about 7 in the morning till about 9 at night, we're pretty busy. But it's worth it.
For Jeff and Barbara, it will be worth it when they walk away from Yestermorrow with workable blueprints for the addition to their home.
We knew we wanted a bigger living space for entertaining friends, so we had that in mind, and we knew the basic dimensions, but we didn't know how to put it together. We didn't know the technical aspect of how to sit down and make a plan, and that somebody could really read a real blueprint.
And it will be worth it when Jeff and Barbara are able to do some of the actual building themselves.
So I would have been hesitant to cut her loose with a power saw, but she certainly has no problem with power tools now, and her measurement is accurate, and I can be on the top of the ladder and she can hand me a board and I know it fits. So I'm real confident that we can work together to build what we want to build, where we may not have been able to survive the construction of our house before.
Jane Broadwin took the design build class last summer. She's now working with a builder on this house that she designed.
I wouldn't say that I could walk out of this class and know how to do the whole thing by myself, but we're no longer, in a sense, just standing around saying, gee, I don't know, what do you think? We've really thought. We put a tremendous amount of thinking into this. And so it becomes then a dialogue between us and the contractor as to what's possible, rather than asking someone else to envision how I'm going to live.
Not everybody comes to Yestermorrow looking to build an entire house. The classes vary from weekend cabinetry and woodworking classes to classes on straw bale building. The point is to allow everyday homeowners the opportunity to learn how to shape their own homes.
A house is a structure, whereas a home is a reflection of the people who live in it. And that's what we're really emphasizing here at Yestermorrow.
I can't imagine putting on even a small addition without having this experience. There's a lot to learn.
Just ahead, a look at what it means these days to build a high-end home and building play homes out of throwaways. DreamBuilders will be right back.
I had been wanting to build houses for a long time, and I was actually looking for something on the West Coast but couldn't find anything. And in searching around under some, who knows what category, building materials or buildings, Yestermorrow popped up, and I gave them a call immediately.
We were debating building a new house and finding some new property, and went on the internet and looked up timber framing because that's what we had first decided that we would do, and there it was.
There are people here who are building suburban homes to places on 700-acre parcels of property, so there's a real variety, and it's great to be able to get that feedback back and forth.
The mission of Yestermorrow is to teach students of all ages, and our focus is ranging from those just out of high school or in high school all the way up to those retiring and building their final home. But it's to teach them about placemaking that is respectful of the land and is responsive to the site and to the climate and to themselves. And so I think when we start talking about design and the environment is how do we capture that sort of feeling, that sort of beauty, that sort of sense of smell, that sort of long-term durability, a whole range of things that is personal to the designer, but respective of the environment and the community and our natural resources.
We're a design build school. I think I said that too. The point of design build is to bring this human energy and materialize it.
How they measure up in all these different categories. I think there's a growing awareness that buildings really have a huge impact on the environment in so many ways. People talk about architects and builders as the super consumers because they make buying decisions, consuming decisions for all the rest of us. There's a sense that in really doing good buildings, we can leave something to future generations of humans and other species in terms of how they're situated, where they're located, the places we don't build, as well as the places we do, and the relationship between them.
The notion of sustainable design is that what we design and build today will be a benefit and not a hindrance to people in the future. One of the major missions of the school is to create that integration of design and construction.
Yestermorrow, the name, emphasizes that. I always tell people this when they ask where the name came from, in that it refers to yesterday's attitudes about building. The school also taught tomorrow's technologies, and that had to do with, when the school started, it had primarily to do with solar and energy conserving technologies.
I've talked to a lot of people who are very stunned to hear that architects do not do design build, and are very taken aback when they realize glue is the greatest extent architects have put anything ever together with. I think having touched tools and touched materials, it gives you a different, you regard them differently. And there's a language that can happen, there's a respect that can happen, and it builds bridges between the builders and the architects.
We did not anticipate what a
Less is More is about people having the opportunity to explore what's really important to them, to pay attention to how they move through a space and how they want to move through a space, to create a place that really feels like home. A place that's just enough, not too much more, but just enough to live well and be happy. A small house can make you happy, but it can certainly help you be focused. And I think that that's the beauty of this class, that by focusing on small, by going on field trips, looking through books, swapping photos that we've seen on the internet, sketching out lots of ideas, exploring our programs, bubble diagramming, doing models, taping it out on the floor and laying down to see how much room you take up. People have a chance to really play with how they want to be in this world. What a little place of their own can help them to accomplish.
Well, I've been thinking about building a house for a long time, and tiny houses have always been part of that in some way. I think designing really efficiently and but beautifully has always been something that I've wanted to do. I don't have any kind of building or architectural background. But I've known about Yestermorrow for a while. I live in the area, and I've always been attracted to the diversity of classes that are offered here.
Efficiency of space use has always been something that I've been interested in. I don't know anybody else who does stuff like this, which is why here. But I do have a frame for a house being built this fall, and that was sort of the incentive to stop thinking about it and start doing it. So.